Versus the book.
That was Aaron Rodgers' thing. To your quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
It's a luxury pick. We don't have the luxury. We're trying to win right now. I'm in a window right now, and you're going to say, no, we're going to plan this for the future. With a guy who had 4 years, 4 seasons ended by injury. 4. Like, Michael Penix is a walking injury. Like, what are you doing taking him in the top 10?
The Bostonian versus the book.
And now you have to qualify in these majors. You got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness. And I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. Mm-hmm. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome in and a very happy Wednesday to you now. Here, the final Wednesday of May. Can you believe it? 2024 is what we are looking at here today. And we finally have a little reprieve from the NBA playoffs. No game tonight, thanks in part, of course, to the Boston Celtics taking care of business against the Indiana Pacers. We will have a finals that begins in just about 8 days now, next Thursday, in fact, as the Celtics are awaiting the winner of what is going to be a battle, some people think, between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks. My goodness, no sweep for you, Dallas, says Minnesota last night. That means, of course, we're going to have a Game 5 in Minnesota tomorrow. We will touch base on this game, let you know exactly what the market is doing. Some of the quotes coming out of the locker rooms after that game last night. Pretty interesting from both sides. So we'll have much more on that all-important Game 5. And as a side note, some breaking news here today. Congratulations to Ty Lue signing a contract extension to remain with the Los Angeles Clippers here today. The team made this big announcement a little earlier this afternoon. How does 5-year, $70 million sound there for a team and a coach that didn't they not make it out of the first round? Dallas, yeah, that's right. But hey, what's the difference? Ty Lue was rumored, and kudos to him and his agents there for creating quite the stir linked to not only the Lakers, but a half a dozen other teams possibly. But he is not going anywhere. The Clippers will be with him now for at least the next 5 years and $70 million. I'm not sure he made that much money when he was playing, but he is certainly going to be making it now that he is coaching. So kudos to him. We have plenty of Major League Baseball coming up here tonight. In fact, it's been a heck of a day already as we have just about 6 more outs to go in the Phillies and the Giants game. 6-0 Phillies after being shut out just 24 hours ago against the Giants, returning the favor here. 14 hits, 6 runs right now. Giants just 4 hits, have not been able to push a run across there heading to the top of the ninth. And the Mets, can you believe it? And can the Mets win a game? Well, they're going to have to do it without Pete Alonso, who was removed from the game after being hit by a pitch earlier in it. It's knotted up at 3 apiece. They're in the bottom of the 6th inning. And the Marlins are taking it to the Padres. Who saw that coming? 7-1, the Marlins on top of the Padres right now, also in the 6th inning. And there is a Paul Skeens sighting right now for the Pirates as they are on top of the Tigers 8-2. This is game 2, by the way. The Pirates got shut out earlier today, 8-0 by the Tigers as Scooble for Detroit. Quietly now, if you take a look at some of the future odds for the Cy Young Award, and it's the entirely too early look at the Cy Young Award, but Scooble right up at the top there, another 7 innings, 3 hits, 8 strikeouts, only walked 1 as the Tigers took game 1 there, 8-0. But Skeens, well, he returned a favor here in this second game, shutting down that Tigers lineup right now. Still a couple of innings to go. The Cardinals win again, taking down the Reds 5-3. And the Rangers, could the Rangers have actually figured some things out? I bet you I know what it is. It's Corey Seager hitting a home run in every game because he did it again here today against the hapless Diamondbacks in what was supposed to be this big get-even rematch of World Series teams from last season. Remember that? Well, it didn't look any different than what it did when the Rangers were beating them up in the World Series months back. So not good for the Diamondbacks, who are sitting 5 games under 500 right now. And meantime, the Rangers just a couple of games below 500, trying to put it together with the rumor of reinforcements coming soon for them. We also have this hour coming up, in fact, in about 25, 30 minutes. How about the Red Sox and the Orioles? American League East team battling with Corbin Burns on the mound for the Orioles, going to be taking on Cutter Crawford here. Red Sox, the Bats came alive last night. They'll be back at Camden Yards here. Low total, though, only 7 with 2 lineups that can certainly put some runs on the board, but a couple of aces in that one should make for a pretty good game. Meanwhile, the Rays are terrible. In so many levels are they terrible. The Athletics handled business last night. Pepite on the mound here for him tonight. Will the Athletics be able to handle business, win yet another one? No part of me would be laying nearly $1.85 here on the Rays in any capacity against anybody at this particular point. But that game is getting ready to start this hour as well. We have plenty more games coming up next hour we'll get to, including the Nats taking on the Braves, who are bringing up a rookie. First time to the bigs here. And Schweinbach, I believe, is the kid's name. He was a two-way player in college. He's been mowing them down in the minor leagues, certainly one of their better pitching prospects. And he'll have an opportunity to come up and shut down the Nats here tonight. So looking forward to that game. And, of course, the Cubs and Brewers. Imanaga on the mound here tonight for Chicago. You may recall the rainout, which occurred, I believe, on Friday between the Cubs and the Cardinals. That was Imanaga's scheduled start, but they ended up pushing him back one to give him a few extra days rest. So this will be his first start in a little while here, going up against Wilson of the Brewers. The Cubs, of course, handled business, scoring pretty much every run they had last night in the 10th inning to beat the Brewers 6-3. We'll have Royals Twins. We'll have, are the White Sox still a major league base? Yeah, they are. Okay, so the White Sox are, in fact, still apparently a major league team, but you wouldn't know it by watching this team play baseball. They are, atrocious on just about every level here right now with their 15-41 record, taking on Alek Manoah and the Blue Jays, who quite honestly aren't much better. The Guardians and Rockies are set to have a football game again here tonight. Expect a couple of touchdowns possibly from both lineups. And then, of course, late night. How about them Yankees last night, huh? Was that impressive, losing to the Angels? Yes. Yeah, that was impressive. Gill tonight on the mound for him. He has been absolutely lights out, taking on Anderson, who we all keep waiting to realize his last name is Anderson, and he's not nearly as good as his record indicates. Yankees a $2 favorite here tonight, but if they don't, get enough hits and score enough runs, then they're going to leave the door open for a team like the Angels to be able to steal a game, which is exactly what they did last night. Not to mention, we also have another playoff series intact, not in the NBA here tonight, but definitely in the NHL. We watched the Panthers even the series up against the Rangers last night. Now Edmonton at home trying to do exactly the same thing as the Panthers did. Can they tie this series up at 2 as they'll head back to Dallas for Game 5? We'll have much more on this big Game 4 coming up with Joe Madden next hour here, as we are looking forward to some playoff hockey as we had yet another overtime last night. Might we get another overtime here? So we've got a lot to get to. We are just getting started here as Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. Get ready to roll on. Come back and join us here on the Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, getting ready for some Major League Baseball. A couple of games still remaining, but only one that is remotely close. And we all know the Mets are going to figure out a way to lose this game. But 3-3 now here, bottom of the 6th inning for the Mets, taking on the Dodgers, trying not to get swept. But plenty of games coming up, and actually some pretty good ones as well as we say hi to Joe Madden stepping in because she's got her card ready. All 27 pages of baseball plays I see here. Joe, you are locked, loaded, and ready to roll here tonight. So let's start with the first game coming up here in just a few. American League East, in fact, with the Orioles at home, sending Corbin Burns to the mound, taking on the Red Sox and Crawford. Pretty low total here at 7. What are you looking at in this one here tonight?
I'm looking for some plus money in this one, Joe, and I'm going to circle the first 5. I'm taking that under 3.5. You're getting that at plus 104. Looking at the pitching matchup here, I do think Crawford and Corbin Burns can come out nice and solid and really limit the bats on both sides to start this one off. I was looking at their K props in this, and I do like their strikeout abilities and for them to go over their numbers. You're just having to lay too much juice. Crawford's coming in at 4.5 at minus 156, and Corbin Burns 6.5 at minus 130 to the over for both of them. So I do think they'll both go over, but I'm liking the first 5, low scoring, under 3.5. And I think you could look at the Nerfy in this one, in this divisional matchup. These two are going to battle it out. I know the last couple games were higher between these two, but I don't see this one being so.
Yeah, well, speaking of low scoring here, the Tampa Bay Rays, boy, they are atrocious on so many levels here, but so are the Oakland Athletics here, Joe, and I don't think a ton of runs might be coming in this game here tonight. The Oakland A's shut them out 3-0 last night. So what are we thinking here tonight? How are you approaching Tampa and Oakland?
Yeah, I think the Oakland A's can keep this one tight with the Tampa Bay Rays. We look at Joey Estes coming out here for the Oakland A's, and I really like what we've seen out of him. Now, he did struggle in that one start versus the Houston Astros, but we've seen him in other games be phenomenally strong, and I like his strikeout abilities here. So with the Tampa Bay Rays struggling to get these runs on the board, I expect this to be a tight one. Oakland possibly winning another one in a row, Joe, but I don't know about you. I never feel easy when I'm going back on the Oakland A's to win 2 games in a row. If you want to hit them at plus 160, I like it, but at plus 1.5 at minus 132, I'll lay some juice and just play the safer one in this one.
Last 8 games, the Rays have scored a total of 18 runs. I'm not a math major, but I would imagine 2.5 runs a game is not going to get it done in a lot of aspects. So I'm with you there, Joe. If it ain't broke, let's not fix it here. The Tampa Rays will continue to be terrible. What do you think about the Braves, though, here tonight at home taking on the Nats? The Braves are calling up the rookie, their phenom rookie, to pitch in this one, going up against Mackenzie Gore here. What do we think we're going to get from the Braves and Nats?
Okay, I'm not even going to try to butcher Spencer's last name, the rookie coming out here for the Braves. I expect him to get hit by the Washington Nationals in this one. We know this Nationals team has been surprising this season, and they've been able to pull off some great wins as a dog. I'm going to take them here straight up on that money line with that plus money at plus 130. I really like what we've seen out of Mackenzie Gore. 62 strikeouts in just 53 innings pitched so far this season. His last game out, he was able to get 8 strikeouts versus the Seattle Mariners. And I think in this one, we can see him come out nice and strong, really limit the bats here of the Atlanta Braves. And then we just need the bullpen to hold tight in this for the Washington Nationals to be able to pull off the win. At plus 130, Joe, I got a bite.
Yeah, this kid's numbers have been just amazing in Double-A. These are pro hitters here. It's a little bit different. So we'll see if he's as good as advertised, and I don't think it's going to take too long to figure that one out at all. All right, what are we going to get here from, they had Reagans on the mound last night, their number 1 pitcher, the Royals. Didn't work out well for him. They send Seth Lugo to the mound to try to get one back against the Twins here tonight. How you looking at this one?
Yeah, talking about a pitcher with incredible numbers, I can't believe how solid Seth Lugo has been. Overall in the season, a 1.74 ERA. But, Joe, you look at him on the road, 5-0 on the road, that ERA sitting at 0.7 7.5. I can't believe how hot he's been, and I do expect him to come out hot again. Now, a lot of people like to start fading pitchers when they've been on such a hot streak, and I'm not stepping in front of Seth Lugo in this one. We look at the Minnesota Twins, and their struggles against righties have been pretty predominant as of late, and I expect Seth Lugo to be able to record those outs on the board. Now, if you want to look at his strikeouts, I would look there as well, as I can never trust the Minnesota Twins not to strike out, but his outs is 18.5 to the over. You're getting it at plus 158. It almost seems too good to be true. I'm just hoping it's not trappy here with the books, but you look at him, the last game out versus the Tampa Bay Rays, 21 outs he had, versus the LA Angels, 24, versus the Milwaukee Brewers, 21 versus the Blue Jays, 17 only versus the Oakland A's. That was 2 starts ago, so a little bit of concern there because it was the Oakland A's, but I do think he stays nice and in form and can go over 18.5, and you can't hate that plus money.
No, not at all. The Royals pitching staff, certainly a pleasant surprise so far this season here. Not much of a surprise is just how awful the White Sox have been, and they are not getting any better anytime soon. Your Blue Jays, Joe, what are we doing?
Oh, man, they're starting Alek Manoah, Joe. I can't trust Alek Manoah. Everyone's saying that he's got back into form. He's had 2 good starts and 2 terrible starts out here. And then Chris Flexen getting the start for the Chicago White Sox. Neither of these pitchers instill any faith in me. The Toronto Blue Jays bullpen doesn't instill faith either. Just give me the over 8.5 at plus 100 in this one, Joe.
Yeah, this is disgusting, this game on so many levels. Flexen should be in AAA at best here, but plenty more Major League Baseball games to get to here. We'll do that. Plus, Joe, of course, we've got a NHL playoff game you and I are going to break down next hour. So much to get to. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, getting ready for a couple of Major League Baseball games to get going. Ohtani stepping up to the plate at the top of the 7th at Citi Field as the Mets are trying not to get swept. I'm not sure if they remember how to win a game, but Ohtani coming up, 1 out, runner on first. We'll see if he can put the Dodgers ahead here. I would imagine there's a lot of people live betting the fact that the Mets probably not going to win this game. But we do have much more in store for you here tonight. A couple of great late games here, too, on the West Coast with Seattle and Houston. I think that's going to be a good one tonight, as well as the Yankees trying to bounce back after an embarrassing loss against the Angels last night. We'll have more on that. And, of course, the NHL getting ready to go. What a absolutely epic 4 games it has been in the Eastern Conference Finals here so far. They did it again, the Rangers and the Panthers. Certainly a lot of Panther fans felt like this thing goes to overtime. They're going to figure out another way to win it, a game that they shouldn't win, and go up 3-1, but that wasn't the case. The Panthers wasted no time. Reinhart in the extra time gets it done and quickly against the Rangers to tie that series up 2 games apiece. Now, tonight, we got to pivot to the West, where the Edmonton Oilers are in pretty much the exact same spot that the Panthers were last night. They're already down 2-1 to the Dallas Stars. They cannot afford to lose this game at home and head to Dallas down 3-1 here. And what makes this game very hard to figure out is the fact that Dallas has just been so good on the road throughout the playoffs here. And another very good sign for Dallas and not so for Edmonton is the fact that Jason Robertson has finally figured some things out, coming out with the hat trick in that last game because his buddy Rupe Hintz finally made it back into the lineup. He had a couple of assists for Robertson there in that game, but he had been very quiet. Him and Pavelski, some of the mainstays, not exactly getting it done in this series until, of course, that last game, which means, boy, oh boy, Edmonton blowing a 2-0 lead in the first period in that last game, giving up 3 in the second and then 2 in the third. And all eyes are going to be on Skinner tonight in goal for Edmonton. They've already announced that he is going to be the goalie. So those that were hoping that maybe, just maybe, there'd be a chance for another goalie. But I'm not blaming Skinner for what we have seen thus far. While, yes, there were a few questionable goals in that last game. Can't blame him in game number 2. They only scored 1 goal in that game 2 loss. So I can't blame Skinner for that one, but there were a couple more that maybe shouldn't have found the back of the net that did. The bottom line is, hey, the Stars for Edmonton have to show up tonight. Evander Kane has yet to make his mark on this series when it comes to finding the score sheet in any way, shape, or form. He has been held pointless in the first 3 games of this series. He had 7 points in the first 12 games of this postseason. He's also very much aware of this, and he knows that if Edmonton is going to tie this series up and hopefully get it to go 6-7 games here where they might be able to pull it out, he has got to figure out a way to get some points for the Oilers. It just can't be McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman. It just, somebody else has to step up here. And if you're Dallas, you're feeling pretty good with what Ottinger has done so far in this series, and you're looking very forward to him on the road again, which has been their specialty. I think, 5-1, 6-1 in the playoffs on the road. They have been absolute money on the road. And here is Edmonton at home, back up against the wall. Will they be able to get it done? They certainly did in the last game in the first period, but the problem was it was as if they emptied the gas tank in the first period because they got absolutely boat raced the rest of the way, and Dallas ended up winning that game 5-3. So we'll see what kind of answers Edmonton has. We'll, again, talk to Joe Madden next hour and see what her thoughts are on this game. In the meantime, plenty more to get to here as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri, and we just got a final out in the Bay Area as the Giants. Well, you know, a little victory, I guess. You didn't get shut out, but you sure as heck didn't win the game either. As the Phillies bounce back with a win, 6-1, pounding out 14 hits there against the Giants after the bullpen pretty much shut them out last night, and the Dodgers somehow squeaked out of that last inning there in the top of the seventh, still tied 3-3, getting ready for a couple of more games to get underway here. And no doubt a few of these Mark Zinno will be taking a look at here tonight. And Zin, well, kudos to the good news is I guess the Phillies can still score runs. We were a little worried and panicked there, but it looks like the bats fine. They should have had more than 6 runs in this game, by the way, but it was a good way to end that series in a place they historically don't do well at. Are the Mets pulling this game out for the Dodgers too?
I think so. You know, you and I were talking this morning about how fishy that line was and how James Paxton is just such a questionable starter at this point in time. When the Dodgers are sitting there only laying minus 130, minus 135 to anybody not named the Braves, Yankees, or Phillies, guess what? That line is fishy across the board. So from that standpoint, you know, especially with the Mets offense that really is not all that potent, the fact that that number was that short tells you that Paxton was due for some regression despite his 5-0 record. And I know he's not on the hook for the loss right now, Joe, but he'll continue to have that unblemished record. But nonetheless, he'll continue to struggle, I think, and continue to regress.
Yeah, can't walk just as many as you strike out. That's a recipe for disaster in the bigs here. All right, we'll talk more baseball in a minute here, but I did want to get your thoughts as Boston just kind of hangs out, sunbathes, sips pina coladas, hanging out, waiting until next Thursday to figure out who the hell's going to win this series here. Now, listen, nice win from Minnesota last night to get it back to their building, but I'm struggling with how much of that was Minnesota being really good or how much of it was Dallas just being that bad. And what are the chances Dallas is going to be that bad and poor shooting the ball again in Game 5 tomorrow?
Well, history in this series tells us they're not, and history in this season series across the board between these two teams tells us that was sort of the anomaly. I mean, the thing for Minnesota more than anything is 100 points is their cap. If they allow 105, 108, I don't like the game script for them, especially this deep in the playoffs, for them not to be able to win a game, I should say. They have to win this with defense. Again, you go back to their record. They've only won 3 of their last 8 playoff games, and all 3 of those have gone, or 3 of their last 9 rather, and all 3 of those have gone under. And in fact, if you go back to the Denver series, every game that they've won has stayed under the total because Minnesota has allowed 99, 80, 70, 90, and 100 points. I mean, they have to win this with defense. I know we saw the series against Phoenix, and they were scoring 120 and 117 and things of that nature. And oh, wow, this team, is good on both ends of the floor. And they are, but Dallas is the better offensive team here. And if you want to beat them, they're going to have to put together another defensive performance. And that may be the way to go, the way to tackle this thing. This total sitting at 209.5, which again, now the second highest total of this series. But that gives us a Dallas number of about, what are we saying, 102 and a half here that they would have to get over. So, I think if Dallas eclipses their team total, there's probably a chance they're going to win this game. All these games have been close and have come down to the final 3 to 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. So Dallas has been able to close, and Minnesota finally got the job done in Game 4.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Because we usually don't get, at this point in the game, a series where there's usually at least one blowout in the series, right? I mean, these games, to your point, have come down to the very last couple of minutes, and when you have a dude named Luka and Kyrie on the team, it makes sense that they will come out on top more times than not here. If you're going to look ahead and say that they finish this series tomorrow, Dallas advances, are you convinced that Boston is still the team to beat here? Does it go 7? Is it a fun series, or is Boston going to dominate?
Well, dominate's a strong word. I mean, Boston didn't really dominate Indiana. Again, that was another series where it wasn't a blowout, really, right? I mean, for all intents and purposes, Indiana could have won games 1 and Game 3, and they'd still be playing right now. If it wasn't for, a couple of freak things that happened in the final, 2 minutes of the game, we're still watching the Eastern Conference Finals. As good as Boston has been all year long, the expectation that they're just going to steamroll everybody is flawed. That's just not the way things are at this point in the playoffs. I mean, yes, you've had sweeps before in the NBA Finals, but this is not a ball. Nobody is that much better than anybody else in today's NBA. There's just, with the regular season being what it is now, and you're seeing teams and load management and, there are just lesser teams out there. The numbers look a little bit more inflated than what they really are. When you get to the playoffs level and everybody's a little bit more comparable, I don't think Boston is going to dominate the series. I think Boston is going to win the series, and they should. They're a better team than Dallas. It would take something out of the ordinary for Boston to lose this. I mean, we've seen Boston the first 2 series against Miami and Cleveland lay a stinker in one of these games and just not show up. Can that happen against Dallas? Sure, absolutely it can. Did it happen against Indiana? No, it didn't. But, the deeper you get in the playoffs and the more confidence and the more patience that guys have, and they don't really press as much as they do earlier on in the playoffs to get to this point. So you have to really wonder, and it's the same thing anytime you play Boston. The best shot you have is take Dallas in Game 1, because that's the one game that they really can steal. As the teams haven't played each other. Now, Boston has a lot of scouting time ahead of time. Depending on how long this series will go, we'll know how much scouting time Dallas has. But that's the best opportunity for the Mavericks to make a real series of this thing, is to steal Game 1. And now we're talking about Boston having to go to Game 5 at a minimum, if not 6, which seems more likely. So Boston at 6 kind of feels like, where this thing goes.
Yeah, we obviously don't have numbers just yet, given the fact that Dallas still has to beat Minnesota one more game. But it just feels like one of the bets I'm going to make is over 5.5. I don't see this being a 5-game set for Boston in any way, and I do definitely think we're going to get 6 or 7 games out of that. I can't help but to think, man, if Indiana had a closer like a Luka or a Kyrie, are we even here talking about them and not talking about them still being in a series here? It feels like a different animal. And is it fair to say Dallas will be their toughest test to date here, I think, in a long time this season?
People are making a lot about the path that Boston has had. So, listen, that's why seeding matters. You get the number 1 seed, so you have the easiest path. That's not wrong. That's not luck. It's designed that way. Yep. So, I mean, I'm not gonna take any dump on Boston because of who they played. Look, I shouldn't say I guarantee you. Write this down, folks. Boston is still going to open up as an 8.5-point favorite in Game 1 at home. That's just the number that odds maker, if not 9, and that shouldn't surprise anybody. Do I think that's a little high? Probably. If I was odds making, I would probably lay 7.5 with Boston right now. And even at that, it's going to seem high given, hey, this is the NBA Finals, and look what Dallas had to do to get here. Look what they had. Boston, the numbers tell you Boston is that much better than pretty much everybody else. And so don't be shocked to see an 8.5 hung in Game 1, at which point in time I'm probably still going to take Dallas.
Yeah, well, the value will definitely be with Dallas for sure. The public seems to love Minnesota tomorrow, as the bets continue to roll in up to 4.5 right now. Well, that's a lot to expect from a team that needed a lot to go right in that last game in order to be able to get it done. But let me ask you, if it seems pretty straightforward, right? Dallas wins the finals. He's the finals MVP. If Boston wins, who's the finals MVP, do you think?
I mean, it's either Jalen or going to be Jason Tatum, right? There's not really room for Al Horford or anybody else to show up in this thing, or Derek White. I mean, one of those two guys is going to have to do it.
Could be Porzingis. Don't sleep on Porzingis.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
GameTime Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Mark Zinno as we get ready for a couple of more games to get underway here. Major League Baseball slate tonight, including the Orioles taking on the Red Sox. Corbin Burns versus Cutter Crawford. Pretty decent pitching matchup here. Not expecting a whole lot of runs with that total. Can't blame him, but Burns gave up a few last time out here. They're in Camden, wind blowing out. What are you looking at here tonight?
If this was 3 years ago, I'd be playing the over in a heartbeat, no matter what.
In a heartbeat.
Because, Camden Yards used to be a band's box. I mean, look, there's even a 6.5 out there as this thing gets underway. As we watch the first inning or the top of the first go through scoreless. So jumping on the over live here feels fantastic at this point in time with that 6.5 hanging out there.
I agree.
I mean, it's one of those things where, it'd even be better, if you could still get a first half line of over 3.5, I'd take it because guess what? You know what I say, They ain't scoring early, they ain't scoring late. If these guys are that dominant and they're going to go to 6 into 7 and the bullpen only has to get 7 or 8 outs, that's going to play to the under here big time. But, again, the Orioles bats kind of last night were much should have scored a lot more than the 3 runs that they had. They left 10 runners on. I know Grayson Rodriguez wasn't great last night, but he still struck out 10 guys. Boston is the second or a top 5 K rate on the road this year. And I think Burns is going to strike out a lot of guys tonight. So lean on the Orioles here, but this is kind of a coin flip game with 2 good starters on the mound.
What do you think of Imanaga back tonight for Chicago? Skipped the rain out there against St. Louis on Friday. Gave him a little extra rest. Going up against the Brewers, that was a 1-0 game heading into the bottom of the 9th last night, and then all hell broke loose in the 10th inning. But what do we get from Imanaga? Are you hesitant to back him in this game?
The numbers tell you that odds makers are saying that Milwaukee has a much better shot than people are giving it credit for. Look, Imanaga's numbers are unreal. I like the Brewers tonight. I genuinely do. I mean, narrative-based, he's not going to win every start, right? They're not going to win every game the guy pitches, so he's going to lose at some point in time. But Milwaukee is excellent at hitting left-handed pitching, especially at home. They're top 10 in batting average, top 5 in OPS and WRC plus at home against left-handers. It just feels like a spot. Look, and when everybody knows what Imanaga is at this point, and the public bets somebody like this, odds makers typically make you pay a premium. This number should probably be around 150, 160, maybe even 170 with a guy of this nature on the hill. And the fact that it was in the 125 minus 130 range for the money line tells you odds makers are giving a lot of respect to the Brewers' ability to win this game outright here. And, again, they don't bait the public, but the line is what it is for a reason. And a lot of the public would run to back Imanaga at a shorter number than expected.
What do you know, Zin, in Atlanta here? The Braves called up that 23-year-old, I think it was a former second-round pick, the kid out of Nebraska, Schwellenbach. All I know is I saw these numbers, 51 strikeouts to 10 walks in 45 innings in Double-A? So, my goodness, he's doing something right, but there's a big jump between Double-A and Major League Baseball. What is the buzz about this kid? What are we getting from Atlanta tonight?
Well, it's a good spot to start him in because you're going up against the Nationals, and that's not a great lineup. But for an offense that isn't scoring, it's not good to face Mackenzie Gore because Mackenzie Gore is, probably their best starter at this point in time. I know his numbers look a little bit average, at the 3.04 ERA and a 1.29 WHIP, but his numbers are even better on the road with a 2.42 ERA this year. He just hasn't gotten a ton of run support, and so this is a spot here for Mackenzie Gore. I played the first 5 under between these two teams last night. It was scoreless. I would play it again. I don't think there's a reason not to. I mean, even if both of these teams score early, it's like, do you get a sense that both teams are going to be able to put up 2 or 3 runs here in the first 5? Not against these starting pitchers, they want. I mean, unless Schwellenbach, his name is going to, reach halfway down his jersey as it arches over the back of his number. About 15 letters in there. It's going to look weird. If everything is advertised and he can get guys out, great. But Washington doesn't strike out a ton. So they're not a team that is a high K rate team, despite what people want to say. This is a team that's, middle of the road. And I think it's even less on the road. I can check here real quick where they are as far as K rate. So that takes some of the kid's best weapon away. Right. And when you have that going on, you're asking him to put the ball in the zone. Major league hitters are just better than guys at Double-A, and that could be a little bit dangerous for a young pitcher at times.
So terrible, obviously terrible news with Acuna. Just terrible luck. I mean, 2 ACLs in a couple is just unbelievable. But we've also seen them have some success even without him. Is now the time, with all the hype on Philadelphia being the greatest thing, is now the time to look at Atlanta maybe to overtake and eventually win the National League East to begin with?
I mean, I have thought for the last 2 weeks that, after they had that stretch out west where they really couldn't score and they got swept by the Dodgers and the Mariners, they lost, 5 or 6 between the Dodgers and the Mariners. I thought that they would snap back out of it when they got home and the bats would start to wake up. It's, they've been great at scoring runs at Truist Park and they just haven't. And losing Acuna is not going to help. I mean, you're not getting production out of the regulars. You get Austin Riley and Sean Murphy back in the lineup. I'd wait another 4, 5, 6 games maybe to see what their return to the lineup does for everybody else. And if they start putting the bat on the ball, they got a shot. But in the big picture, you lost your best position player. You've already lost your best starter for the year. I mean, we're so used to seeing the Braves just win 90, 95 games and win the division and make the playoffs. And yeah, I don't think I would count them out from making the playoffs because we got like 17 wild cards in each league here. That said, I don't have as much confidence without Acuna in there. At some point in time, Acuna was going to have a streak for 30 games for a month where he was going to be on fire because he's just too good not to. And without him in a lineup, it's going to change things.
And they get Murphy back too, right? I mean, he was shelled for a little while too. So they're getting at least a couple of guys back, but you're never going to be able to replace Acuna. It'll be interesting. Buyers at the trade deadline?
They won't even wait till the trade deadline. Alex Anthopoulos is going to work this before the end of June. They will absolutely have made a move. I don't think he waits.
You know what it is? I think this kid is a showcase tonight. Hey, guess what, guys? Guess what we got for you? Come on, let's see her and cut a deal. Should be interesting here. All right, Mark Zeno, as always, we appreciate it, man. Cash those tickets here tonight. GameTime Decisions continues next here on the Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
GameTime Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network as we get ready to wrap up this first hour. Still much to get to, including a huge playoff game in the NHL here tonight. We've got much more on Dallas and Edmonton, but we also still have some Major League Baseball getting ready to get underway, and no better way to kick it off than with a same-game parlay, and our good friend Davis Maddock has one for us here tonight. Davis, what are you looking at?
All right, we are back to the diamond with our same game parlay tonight on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Cleveland Guardians and Colorado Rockies at Coors Field. We are going to begin by taking the Cleveland Guardians money line as evidenced by the absolute demolition they put under yesterday. Just a much better team. I want to be on the opposite side of the Rockies, at least 100 times this year. We are also going to take the over on 10.5 total runs with Logan Allen and Ty Blatch pitching. Blatch with a career .515 ERA. I think that this Guardians lineup sets up very nicely for Coors Field. They are a low strikeout lineup and they are a high power lineup. Both of those things don't pretend well for Blatch. And then we are going to have catcher/outfielder David Fry to hit a home run. I think you could use either of the Naylor brothers or Jose Ramirez here. I am going with Mr. Fry. This 3-leg same-game parlay gives us plus 959 odds. Guardians money line over 10.5 total runs, and David Fry to hit a home run. Good luck tonight, everybody.
All right, good stuff there, Davis. A football game will break out at Coors Field, as they often do this time of year and as the warmer weather starts to roll in. So I am with you. Over last night hit rather easily in that 13-7 Guardians win. I would be shocked giving those two starting pitchers here if it does not follow similar suit here tonight in this one. So with you on those, Davis, and true to form, kudos to the New York Mets for figuring out once again a way to blow this game. It is now 7-3 Dodgers on top of the Mets here as Mookie Betts now batting, I believe, again for the second time here in this inning here as they've dropped 4 runs now in the top of the 8th inning. That bullpen of the Mets, once again, although Diaz was shelved on the 15-day IL earlier today, it was called something to do with a shoulder inflammation or maybe his neck hurts from all the balls being whizzed right by his head there that he was throwing. That could be it too. Either way, he won't be seen for a little while in the Mets bullpen. And boy, they got a lot of questions surrounding this team and moving forward as the wins are few and far between right now. And the Dodgers look again like that 5-game losing streak, which is what it was prior to this series with the Mets. That is a long time ago now as they're looking to sweep here the New York Mets here. The Marlins looking to put the finishing touches on the Padres. 9-1. Marlins dropping 9 runs and 16 hits here on the Padres today. And boy, oh boy, pretty good afternoon for the Marlins and Braxton Garrett, who once again coming off a full game shutout last time out. Once again, this pitching staff for the Marlins continues to dazzle and impress and make it very difficult to score off of them here. And Garrett did it again here tonight. Went 5 innings, 6 hits, just 1 earned run. Struck out 2. It's been the bullpen after that, but this was Yu Darvish on the mound here for the Padres today. Only ended up going 3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 6 hits. It was a short outing for Darvish. The bullpen had to scramble to try to get in, and the Marlins hitters made them pay. So 9-1 Marlins looking to get one back against the Padres. All right, we got more to come here. Major League Baseball games, late slate to get to. And then, of course, we do have an NHL Stanley Cup playoff game, the Western Conference Finals. It is put up or shut up time here for the Edmonton Oilers, who find themselves, much like the Florida Panthers did 24 hours ago, facing a possible down 3-1, having to go on the road back to Dallas if they don't win tonight. Can they get it done against, well, the best team on the road in the playoffs? We'll talk a lot about that game coming up as Game Time Decisions kicks off another hour. Coming up next here on The Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Off and running another hour of Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by on this Wednesday. And yet another Wednesday and another embarrassing effort from the New York Mets here. It is now 9-3, people. 9-3. It got so bad that when they took the pitcher out for the Mets here in the top of the eighth, as he's given up 6 runs now here. He was nice enough to give one of the kids in the stands a souvenir as he chucked his glove in up and over the dugout into the stand. So that's nice. And I bet the kid that caught it could probably get more guys out than he did. But that's another story here. 9-3 right now. Dodgers on top of the Mets looking for the sweep. We'll have much more coming up this hour in Major League Baseball. Some great games getting ready to start here in the 7 o'clock hour, including the Washington Nationals taking on the Atlanta Braves here tonight. Mackenzie Gore going at it for the Washington Nationals, taking on the rookie for the Atlanta Braves that they're calling up. I love Imanaga tonight with the Cubs taking on the Brewers. That's coming up this hour. Also, Kansas City, Seth Lugo, with an impressive 8-1 record and just a 1.74 ERA. The numbers have been phenomenal. Taking on Bailey Ober and the Minnesota Twins. Minnesota won that game last night. KC looking to get the bats rolling here tonight. Seth Lugo, pretty impressive stuff at a pretty cheap price. Then you have the White Sox, who once again are setting out to prove that they are a terrible team. But the problem is they're taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, who once again, well, are a terrible team. So that one is going to be interesting. Those first pitches all happening here within the next 50 minutes or so, and we'll keep you posted on all of them. We also have a big night in the WNBA. 3 games set here tonight to kick off, including the Phoenix Mercury taking a trip to New York to take on the Liberty. That is coming up here in just a couple of minutes. The Atlanta Dream will also be heading to Washington and take on the Mystics. And then we'll have an 8 p.m. game tonight with the Las Vegas Aces taking on the Minnesota Lynx here. And the Washington Mystics finally have a home game. It feels like it's been a little while. And what a brutal schedule it has been for them here. And they don't have a lot to show for it. And that's what happens when you've got to rattle off and play teams like the Liberty and the Sun and the Sparks. And now they finally have had a couple of days rest. They now get to play a home game. And they are getting, as you can see, 4.5, 5 points as a home dog. So this should be an interesting battle here. But what about the Liberty? What are we doing with the New York Liberty taking on the Phoenix Mercury here tonight? That was a just terrible loss to the Connecticut Sun the other night, 70-47 on the road. They lost to the Connecticut Sun. That was just terrible. And let's face it, the Phoenix Mercury going to try to bounce back here a little bit and see if they can't put in a little bit better effort. And by the way, Phoenix isn't as bad as the 47 points that they scored there against the Sun or the Connecticut Sun. They went atrocious 1 of 27 from behind the 3-point line. You would think that, yes, positive regression will be coming for them here tonight. And we've got the Liberty now as a monster favorite in this one here, but I'm not buying it. Also a huge New York Liberty team total right now, 92.5 points in the game. That is a ton of points for a team in Phoenix that was pretty much thoroughly embarrassed and will give the kind of effort necessary here tonight to keep that number under its total. But the story so far of this young WNBA season has been the Minnesota Lynx, who are off to one of the best starts, 4-1 against the toughest strength of schedule opponents so far in the league. They have been impressive, especially with not 1 but 2 wins over the Storm and the Liberty. And they are going to have to be good here tonight. Getting 4.5 as a home dog against none other than the champs, the Aces, who are still 3-1 on the season here, and in no way, shape, or form are going to sit there and roll over and take a night off against the red hot Lynx there. So a lot of folks in the market looking at taking those 4.5 points with the home dog think that they've already proven their ability to be able to compete with the best the WNBA has to offer. We're going to see that game coming up 8 o'clock Eastern time. We do have a night off in the NBA from playoff basketball as the Western Conference Finals will resume tomorrow in Minnesota as the Dallas Mavericks were not good last night at home in a closeout game. Kyrie Irving had been 14-0, I believe, in his career in closeout games, but now he's 14-1 as Dallas was putrid, shooting just about 33% in that game last night. Not good. Minnesota made enough plays and enough shots, even though half the team had foul trouble, including Karl Anthony Towns, who finally showed up and showed out in a game for the Timberwolves. Well, they're going to have to do it again, and then again, and then again, if they want to take on the Boston Celtics. So they certainly have their work cut out for them. In the meantime, Luka and company didn't sound too concerned after the game last night, said it's just one game. Luka took full responsibility for the weak effort that Dallas put together there. He was not good, and it was noticeable early. Neither team, by the way, made it to the 50-point mark in the first half. It was 49-49 at the break. It was a great back and forth for most of the game, but usually where Dallas had shined in the fourth quarter, they weren't able to do that, and really because Luka and company just were not very efficient offensively. But Dallas will have one more crack tomorrow to end it and get ready for the Boston Celtics, because those finals are starting a week from tomorrow, next Thursday night here. And we do have, of course, a lot of folks trying to figure out, is Boston going to be the favorite? Would Dallas be the favorite if they win? Well, there you go. You can see the series price right there. Minus 400 for the Celtics, plus 300 for the Mavericks. I know a couple of folks that have already started to mix and match. I know one guy that already bet Boston to win game one, Dallas to win the series at a pretty good price. So there'll be lots of talk about this coming up, since we won't have a game after tomorrow for another week if it ends. But if they do have to go back to Dallas for a game 6, well, then it's going to get interesting. Here's Boston just hanging out, waiting once again to see who's going to be making the trip to the Garden to take them on in game 1. So still a lot to be decided there in the NBA and the Western Conference Finals. Dallas has got to handle business tomorrow. Minnesota's going to do everything in their power to make sure they get a plane ticket back to Dallas for game 6. And we got a game 4 tonight in the NHL. Edmonton, the Oilers at home, trying not to go down 3-1 here tonight. Can they do it? Dallas, phenomenal on the road this playoff season. Can they pretty much close out the series tonight? We'll have much more on this. Joe Madden will join us. Come back and join us. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. It has been absolutely electric in 4 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. Another overtime game last night. But we got a series that's knotted up 2 apiece before they get to Game 5 in New York coming up. And tonight, well, the Edmonton Oilers facing the same scenario the Florida Panthers were just 24 hours ago. Joe Madden stepping in. And, well, we saw a hell of a game last night, Joe. And the Panthers were finally able to win an overtime game. And that series is knotted up 2 apiece. How much faith should we have that Edmonton can, hold serve at home here after Dallas is one of the best teams we've seen on the road in the playoffs this year?
Yeah, they've been absolutely lights out here on the road, Joe. And I don't know if I could back Edmonton at this price. You look at the money line price for the Edmonton Oilers versus what you're getting for the Dallas Stars and the plus money with this team who is so phenomenally strong. And I just can't do it. I do think the Dallas Stars have every opportunity of getting the win and taking this back to Dallas, leading the series 3-1. Now, if you like the Dallas Stars, I'd jump on them now at plus 114 on the money line. I've already taken them, Joe, but I do think this is another really tight battle out there. If Dallas goes up and scores first, if you like Edmonton, you're gambling a little bit that Dallas will score first. And we know Edmonton's been able to do that in the majority of these games in this series. But then I would look at Edmonton if Dallas is able to do so and getting that plus money on them, because I do think this is another game that we could see overtime. The overtime bet coming in at plus 330 in this one, Joe. I'm expecting that back and forth battle. And if Dallas goes down first, I'm going to come back in on them on that money line because I do think they have every opportunity of getting the win here. And that was the perfect situation last night with the Florida Panthers. I liked the Rangers going in because of the plus money and then was able to jump on the Florida Panthers when they went down in that game and grab that plus money on the other side, because we know these 2 teams or these 4 teams are all playing it so tight. But looking at tonight's matchup, I really do have the faith in the Dallas Stars. I think they have every ability. Now, one scary thing here is Stuart Skinner off a loss when he's been absolutely destroyed, like in the last game, normally has a bounce-back game in the playoffs we've been seeing, and he's been able to record that win. So I am, outside of all my other bets, going to play Stuart Skinner over his save shots on goal market. That's coming in at 23.5. I do expect, even if Dallas is able to get their 3 goals, which I'm expecting in this game, for him to still go over 23.5 save shots on goal. So I'm going to play that, but I do think the main bets here is a Dallas's team total over 2.5. That's coming in juicy at minus 138, but I think they have every ability to put 3 goals on the board. I'd look at this full game under 5.5, so I'm asking a lot. I really do think this is 2-2 going to overtime, and Dallas is able to get the win. And I'm looking at a couple of players for their shots on goal, Joe. I'm going to circle Jason Robinson here for over 2.5 shots on goal. Or sorry, 3.5 shots on goal. That's coming in at plus 122. He was absolutely phenomenal in the last game, able to get that hat trick. It was on 4 shots. I am expecting him to have that ability to come out nice and strong in this one again. And then you've got to look at someone from Edmonton. Now, if you look at Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Evan Bouchard, their props are so highly juiced that I just can't touch on them. I would be looking at taking Connor McDavid under his shots, which I don't want to do. It's 3.5. To the under, you got to lay juice at minus 156. He had 6 shots in the last game, but we saw him in previous games be held under this number of 3.5. I don't love fading players because then you're looking for a completely boring game where those block shots are coming in. But Evander Kane, you're getting value for the Edmonton Oilers. Over 2.5 shots on goal for Evander Kane. Joe's coming in at minus 114. And you look at him in the last game, he was able to only get 2, but in the games prior, 5 and 4 shots on goal. And we're seeing this as they're really targeting other players, the defense of the Dallas Stars, and allowing Evander Kane to get a little bit more open out there on the ice. This is going to be one heck of a game tonight, Joe.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a point in the series yet, Evander Kane, and he was phenomenal prior to this series against Vancouver. He was great. Like, he was a huge part of what they were doing, the success that they were having, but he's kind of been MIA, but that's Ottinger for you here. And I guess Robinson's pretty happy Rupe Hintz is back in the lineup because, my goodness, he gets back in the lineup and Robinson gets the hat trick. And I don't think that should be a shock to anybody. We were wondering what kind of role he would play if he came back healthy, and I think we've got the answer. Is Dallas even that much more dangerous with him now?
Oh, absolutely. You look at this Dallas team, Joe, and it is loaded with so many playmakers, but Rupe Hintz is so phenomenally strong out there on the ice. If it's not Rupe Hintz getting these goals, and I could see him getting a goal tonight, but because I'm leaning towards this being the lower scoring side of things, I really don't want to put my money there. But if they try to cover Jason Robinson because he was able to get the hat trick in the last game, well, then they're going to leave Rupe Hintz open. And Rupe Hintz, we know, so phenomenal at finding the back of the net and lighting that lamp. So I can see the combination of these two being lights out again tonight.
Yeah, Wyatt Johnson, too. They got a ton of weapons here, Dallas. But we already know Edmonton needs to play like they played in the first period of the last game. I'm not quite sure what happened in the second period. It kind of looked like they ran out of gas, Joe. Like they were so good in the first. They were flying everywhere. They took it to Dallas. They had a 2-0 lead. And then nobody showed up in the second period. And by that time, I think that's really where Dallas won that game. But they're going to have to keep that energy up all game here, Joe. Can they do that?
I don't think so. I really don't. You look at Edmonton and you're right, Joe. It looks like they run out of gas out there on the ice. This team loves that run and gun hockey in that first period, coming out so phenomenally strong, finding the back of the net and lighting that lamp in the first couple of minutes out there trying to set a tone, but it's not working with the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars, with their depth, they can keep going. Every single one of their lines is so impactful out there. And Edmonton either has a hot night out of Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, or their other lines have to pick it up. And Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are held to nothing. It's not good.
Yep. Yeah, it can't just be it just can't be those guys. Got to be somebody else. Joe Madden, we appreciate it as always here. Plenty of opportunities to cash those tickets. Go ahead and do so. Game Time Decisions. We'll be back after this.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you hanging with us here as we're getting ready for a big night on the ice. Game 4 there in the Western Conference Finals. Top of the hour between the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. A lot at stake here, and Edmonton knows they can't lose a second game at home and head back to Dallas for a Game 5 down 3-1. We saw the Panthers do it against the Rangers last night, and Edmonton tonight certainly priced as if they are going to win this game and defend home ice. So that should be a fantastic game coming up. Again, top of the hour there. We'll have you covered on in-game live primetime here on the Sports Grid Network. In the meantime, we've got plenty going on in Major League Baseball. For some reason, the Mets just refuse to lose this game, and mostly because they continue to give Dodgers runs. It's now 10-3 here as they're finally heading to the bottom of the 9th inning. Dodgers went from a 5-game losing streak to now it looks like a 3-game winning streak here, handling business against the Mets. The Orioles and Corbin Burns on the mound, taking on the Red Sox and Cutter Crawford. And this was a game that we kind of laughed at the low total, 7. We had Mark Zinno on last hour, and he was talking about, boy, oh boy, this feels like a low total. We got wind blowing out at Camden Yards. We've got Corbin Burns, who was hit a little bit here over the last couple of outings, and Cutter Crawford also not exactly known to shut teams down. And sure enough, here we are at the end of the 3rd inning with the Orioles up 5-1 over the Red Sox. Red Sox scored first, and then the Orioles, Gunnar Henderson, came up with the bases juiced and parked one out into right center field. So 5-1 in that one. At the end of the 3rd here, we also, and this is probably going to shock a few people, but we have no score in the Rays and Athletics. That is really the least surprising result so far of the evening, as the Athletics trying to take a second one from the hapless Rays, who just can't hit the ball. It's kind of disgusting when you think about it. 18 runs over the last 8 games is all the Rays have been able to muster here, and that is not going to get it done, not even against the Oakland Athletics. The rookie for Atlanta on the mound here today, they called this kid up, and he promptly went 1-2-3 in the top of the 1st inning against the Washington Nationals. This is a kid that they highly regard in the organization. He was a number 2 pick, I believe, or 2nd round pick, rather, last year. A kid out of Nebraska who has just been mowing them down in Double-A ball, and they're calling him up. It's a good spot, obviously, against the Nats to be able to see, all right, let's see what this kid has. They're still trying to figure out what they're going to be doing without Ronald Acuna, which was just unbelievably sad that not 1 but 2 ACL tears in the last 4 years. That is just unbelievable. But Atlanta has shown an ability to be able to win even without him. And right now they've got a rookie pitcher on the mound taking on Mackenzie Gore. He did strike out 1 in the top of the 1st inning. We'll keep an eye on that one as it moves along. We are looking forward, of course, to a few more that are getting ready to go here, including Imanaga on the mound for the Cubs, taking on the Brewers here tonight. Wilson on the mound, who's also been a big surprise for the Milwaukee Brewers here this season. The Brewers sitting at 8 games over 500. In the meantime, the Cubs, prior to last night, well, I should say, except for the 10th inning last night, in which they scored 5 runs, which was the most runs that they have scored in about a month. This lineup has been absolutely putrid for the Cubs. They started the season off great, and they haven't been able to hit water if they fell out of a boat. But they did last night. Now they're going to have to take on Wilson on the road and look to put back-to-back efforts together. like Imanaga's chances here, especially early against the Brewers, who have already proven they can't hit left-handed pitching. So I think this is a good opportunity for Imaga and company and the Cubs maybe to turn this thing into a bit of a winning streak. We'll have much more on Major League Baseball and, of course, the NBA Finals. We'll look ahead. Coming up next here, Game Time Decisions.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network as we've got plenty of MLB happening here. We still have to decide who from the West is going to take on the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals here. We're still on track for Stanley Cup Finals here. And we also have the all-important RBC Canadian Open starting tomorrow. And who better to help us navigate through this than the one and only Brady Cannon, who no doubt is probably still cashing and counting his money on that Davis Riley pick last week, right? Because everybody had Davis Riley at 250 to 1, Brady, right?
Oh, my goodness. I tell you what, it's been the year of the underdog on the PGA Tour. I mean, we've had, 400, 500, 125, you name it, a lot of triple-digit winners. I spoke with a lot of bookmakers last week. I think the sports books got pretty healthy with Davis Riley winning. No one at BetMGM, not a single ticket was on Riley. Here at the Westgate Superbook locally in town, there was one for $20. And at Circus Sports, there was less than a handful, maybe a few at small dollar amounts. So, yeah, nobody, unfortunately, including myself, was on Davis Riley. He really came out of the blue. And I guess it was kind of unveiled that he was dealing with some nagging injuries earlier in the year. You'd like it if, golf would kind of have an injury report like they do in the NFL. And if we knew maybe Riley was, smarting a little bit, but that's an argument for another day, I guess. And, Joe, I lost my first in-game play of the year. I've won three successfully on Scotty Scheffler, but the man who I've compared to Floyd Mayweather couldn't find a way to the winner's circle last weekend. And, I bet on him in game when his price got up there pretty high. I just expected Riley to come back to the pack at some point, but congrats to the young man, the Alabama Crimson Tide, former golfer in Tuscaloosa from Mississippi, just held strong and was not rattled at all by the number one player in the world trying to track him down.
And to his credit, good old, Scotty on Thursday did not come out well. He shot 2 over par, but guess what? On Sunday, he was in the final group. So we just, if it wasn't for that Thursday round, we'd be having a totally different conversation, I am sure, here. But we have to go to Canada now this week here as Hamilton, I believe, which was the site of this Canadian, 4 years ago, I believe, when Rory last won it. So this one is roving, right? It switches courses, not the same course as a year ago. So what do we know about Hamilton, and what are we looking at this week?
Yeah, you're right. Rory won this one going away in 2019 by 7 shots over Shane Lowry. And so thus he's a very heavy favorite here at about plus 425 or so this week, I think is about the consensus number. I think it's a great golf course. It looks just like a classic track. Now it's going to be somewhat different than what we saw in 2019, because immediately after that, they brought in Martin Ebert to do a renovation, kind of similar to what we saw Gil Hanse's team do to Colonial last week. It's not really a change, more or less. It's just trying to bring the course back to its original design, which, by the way, Hamilton was originally designed in 1914 by Harry Colt. And so, you get these classic great golf courses with the dog legs and the thick rough and the narrow fairways. And I believe Ebert was just really brought in to kind of restore all of that. So I think it'll play maybe a little differently than in 2019. Rory got all the way to 22 under. You could have a little bit of a birdie fest here, because for the third week in a row, Joe, we've got a lot of rain coming into this event. So I think the golf course will be soft. These guys can hit some long irons into these greens and not worry about the ball running off the surface. I think they'll be able to hold these putting surfaces. But you do need to keep the ball in the fairway. Driving accuracy is a point of emphasis. Strokes gained approach. The par threes here are really tough. 3 out of the 4 are well over 200 yards. The other one's a strong 180 yards. The par fours are anywhere from 400 to 450 plus yards. So it's a pretty, I think it'll be somewhat similar to what we saw last week. You saw at Colonial, the scoring wasn't exactly that easy. What was it, 14 under that won? Maybe we get a little lower this year, or this week rather, because of the soft conditions, but I'd be surprised if we got to 20.
So a few Canadians in this tournament here, and I think up until Nick Taylor won it last year, but at a different course. But to this day, Brady, the greatest tackle I've ever seen on the 18th hole by the security guard was probably, without a doubt, the best thing to look up on YouTube here. Do you have any Canadians to take this trophy down again for a second year straight?
Joe, it's been a habit of mine, and not necessarily intentional, certainly not this year, to stay away from the Canadians in their own National Open, because I think the pressure is intense. Nick Taylor winning last year at Oakdale, which is kind of a similar layout here to Hamilton, was the first Canadian-born player to win the Canadian Open in 69 years. Doesn't happen that often. And I imagine these Canadian fans, Cam Stewart included, who I think might be up there for a round or two, are ready to just burst at the seams off of that momentum that was so exciting last year, with Adam Hadwin out there running to go congratulate Taylor, getting tackled. Taylor had just holed a 72-foot eagle putt on the 4th playoff hole to take out Tommy Fleetwood. So I think this event has a little momentum here coming in. And by the way, we're on a hell of a run here. You go from the Wells Fargo to the PGA to Colonial to Canada. We come back next week to Jack's event, the Memorial, a signature event, and then the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. And then that's followed by another signature event, the Travelers Championship. So a good run in golf right now.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. So we're coming off a 250-1 winner last week in Davis Riley. Is it a bomb? Is it middle of the road? It certainly ain't Rory, is it?
Right. I stayed away from Rory. There's very few short, guys at the top of the board this week. You've got Rory, Sam Burns, Fleetwood, Noren, Thigala. And after that, it pretty quickly jumps to 40-1 and higher. I took one short. Actually, I took two. And Sahith Thigala, I landed on at 20-1. The numbers just make too much sense. But I was worried that I would be selecting a very popular player this week, and I am. I mean, there's a lot of people on Sahith, and it's understandable because, like I say, after you get past those handful of guys, it's a lot of long bombs. And I think the sharper players are out there looking for some bombs. I took Thigala. I took Alex Noren, who's been red hot, 8 straight top 25 finishes. I think this is a great setup for him. And after that, I went with some bigger price guys. I went with Aaron Rai at 42-1, great ball striker. He's got all the tools. If he can make a few putts, I think he'll be in contention. He was 3rd last year here at Oakdale and 13th the year before at St. George's, which I think are both similar courses to Hamilton. And then after that, I went even deeper, 80-1 on Mark Hubbard. Guy's really probably having the best year of his career. He was in contention for a minute at the PGA Championship. He's gotten the putting figured out, which always used to be a real Achilles heel for him. Very accurate off the tee, great ball striker. And then I went to Seamus Power, triple digits at 105-1, who's been really good in signature events against the top, against the cream of the crop. He was 12th at the RBC Heritage at Harbortown and 16th at the Wells Fargo. So in a watered down field like this, I'm hoping he comes to play and is able to have a high finish like that. If he's able to do that well against the best competition, he might really shine here. And then, Joe, I went off the board with a guy that has been injured for almost 2 years. I think it might be time for Daniel Berger to get back to the winner's circle. He's had 5 made cuts in his last 6 starts. He might be fully healthy again. And this guy was a top player in the world before he had the back issues.
Going well here in the South Florida area. Brady Cannon. Good luck. Let's cash those tickets. Game Time Decisions returns after this.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. And it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network on this final Wednesday of May. Just around the corner, of course, we'll have an NBA Finals. We'll have a NHL Finals playing for a Stanley Cup. And then, of course, the dog days of summer will be here before you know it. But we got a lot going on here tonight. Nobody knows it better than the man taking over at the top of the hour, Scotty Wetzel on In-Game Live Prime Time. And, Scotty, we don't have any NBA action here tonight. We do have a couple of WNBA games, but we got that all-important Game 4 in Edmonton in the NHL here, and we just saw Florida do it last night, back against the wall, down 2-1 at home. Similar result here? Are we thinking Edmonton gets this thing tied up tonight?
Nah, I'm going to go Dogs. I'm going to go Dallas. The whole saying in Vegas, same thing that happens one day is not going to happen the next. So I think most people probably think that, right? Down 2-1 home team, just like last night. I'm going to buck the trend there. I'm going to go Dallas, Joe. Plus 114 or so on FanDuel, depending on where you do your shopping. They're 6-1 on the road this year. They lost game 1, but they've won 2 in a row. I had them winning this series in 5, maybe 6. Wasn't too encouraged after they lost game 1, but after watching them these last couple of days, and if they get Jason Robertson going, arguably their best player, get the hat trick last time, then they're going to win this series easily. So we're all, I am anyway, waiting for the Edmonton Oilers to be the Edmonton Oilers, just like the Toronto Maple Leafs became the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're not going to win Edmonton, so why not now? So I think Dallas actually takes both games in Edmonton and really goes back home and wins it in 5.
They are just give a finger, take an arm, Dallas, because I thought they might be in trouble after that effort in the last game by Edmonton, but then they came out and it was like a totally different team. Dallas and Edmonton looked like they ran out of gas, and Dallas basically at that point took it over. So you mentioned it, 6-1 makes it very hard to go with the better goalie on the road here, but if you're looking ahead, if Dallas is going to win this, who are they playing for a Stanley Cup final?
That's the key, right? Let me throw one prop at you for the game tonight that I really like. And listen, this is about making money, right? You can put 1,000 games and props in, right? But there is one, Joe, that stands out to me. Jake Ottinger, 20 saves or more in every game this playoff series. Now, they offered that at the beginning of the series, and they offered it again after game 1 and after game 2 and after game 3. They're continuing to offer it, and it's right around pick'em. So it's minus 134 for him to get 20 saves or more in the last 2 or 3, whatever it ends up being, 4 maybe playoffs games. I'm thinking 2, maybe 3. But here's the thing. They played 7 times this year in the regular season and postseason combined. Every game he's had 20 saves or more against Edmonton, or at least Edmonton has had 24 or more shots in every single game. I think Ottinger was in all the games, but maybe not. But still, point is, Edmonton in 7 games has had 20-plus shots. So there's really no reason, especially tonight down 2-1, they're going to come out flying. So I think at minus 134, it's not pick 'em. But I think that's a pretty solid bet because I think Dallas is going to win, and I think that's going to force Edmonton to really kind of turn it on. I don't know how he doesn't get 20 saves unless he gets hurt and doesn't play a game.
Yeah, they got to be desperate and chucking everything at him tonight.
Right.
I would imagine a lot of shot-on-goal opportunities in the prop market for Edmonton here, who's not going to have a choice here. So should be a good one here. It's been very interesting conference finals, but you got to give me the winner of the next one here. We got game 5 coming up tomorrow with the Rangers and Panthers. Who's winning that series?
Well, it's destined for 7, right? Both teams been able to win on the road.
Yep.
And they did offer a prop. I couldn't find it today. Hopefully FanDuel or some of the other sites pops it up there. But they offered a prop of will either series go to Game 7 overtime? And it wasn't great odds. It was like 5 or 6 to 1. It really was like, wow, the odds should be higher than that. But, If you gave me that prop again, I would be all over it because this series, Florida and the Rangers, it's destined for 7 games. They've already had 3 overtime games already out of the 4. There's I would take that almost at a 50-50 bet if you could find it, to tell you the truth. But I'm sticking with the Panthers. I am. My heart says Panthers because me and Sherapan have a 3-league, 3-championship parlay, which we need Florida or Dallas to win the Stanley Cup. My brain kind of says the Rangers, but I'll lean towards Florida. They are road favorites. I'm surprised. A little small, not big, but road favorites for Game 5 in New York. So the boys in Vegas think Florida's going to win it.
Well, we've had 12 periods, and Florida has legit outplayed the Rangers in what? 10 of them, Scotty? 9, 10? So, I mean, it's...
Rangers are only getting 20 shots, Joe. They're scoring a bunch of goals, but they're getting 20 shots a game.
Yes.
I mean, there's no scoring opportunities for the Rangers. It's a minor miracle.
No.
It's 2-2. It really is.
So exactly, the better team usually wins in a 7, best of 7 here, and I don't think there's any question on who the better team has been thus far. But just keep playing that plus 300 regulation tie. Those games are going to be, if it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it here at all. So should be a good one. How about a Major League Baseball here tonight? We got some of the late games getting ready to come up. I believe the Brewers taking on Imanaga, who missed his last start there. They've pushed him back. Unless I'm missing something, why would he be anything different than what he already is, except he's already given up 2 runs here in the bottom of the first inning. So 2-0 Brewers right now.
All right, I was going to say under. I was in that one because he was pitching. Cubbies 8-1 when he throws. The ERA under 1.
Yeah.
But it's not a good sign, right, when you're missing a start in May. You want to miss a start in July, August maybe, okay, but that's a little weird. I'll throw one out real quickly. Jose Ramirez, home run, 2 hits, 2 RBIs parlay, 5-1. The guy's been on fire, best hitter in baseball in the month of May.
I fully think it's going to be a football game out at Coors Field here tonight. Scotty Wetzel, enjoy it. Cash those tickets. We'll close it out. Game Time Decisions here on the Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. And it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network as we get ready to wrap up this edition. Scotty Wetzel and the crew coming up for a little in-game live prime time. They will have you covered once the puck drops in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. NHL, Edmonton trying to tie things up against Dallas at 2 games apiece here. That should be fantastic. We also have plenty of Major League Baseball going on right now, including a couple of interesting games. We just told you that the Brewers and Christian Yelich just parked one. They're still looking for this ball in Milwaukee. A 2-run home run off Imanaga and the Chicago Cubs, and he doesn't give up a lot of home runs nor a lot of runs, but it's already 2-0 here in the bottom of the first. Imanaga did miss his last start for a little extra rest, and it certainly looks like that so far in the bottom of the first inning. A grand slam by the Orioles. Gunnar Henderson has them up 5-1 in the top of the fifth. Corbin Burns on a mound for the Orioles. They're handling business. They're underway with the Blue Jays and White Sox, 2 teams nobody expects to win, but somebody has to, unfortunately. Nothing there, end of 1. The Twins have runners in scoring position on Seth Lugo, first and third, with just 2 outs now. They're first and third. Lugo trying to fight his way out of a rough bottom of the first inning, and he gets it. So nothing in that one, and we are getting ready for the start coming up next hour of the Guardians and the Rockies. You heard Scotty Wetzel tell you they're expecting Ramirez to have a night. I would expect a few guys to have a night here as the Guardians and Rockies played to 20 runs last night. I don't quite see how we're not getting to 20 runs or more in this one at Coors Field. The Yankees trying to bounce back against the Angels. Yankees bullpen melted down last night, giving up the lead and the game late 4-3. They ended up losing. And now with Gill on a mound going up against Anderson, they're going to try to get one back here. I don't think they'll have a bit of a problem there. 8.5 is the total in that one. And then the late night game between the Astros and the Mariners, which should also be a pretty darn good game here with the Astros and Mariners. It's a pick'em price. And I believe we've got Verlander going here tonight for the Astros and Kirby going for Seattle. I think that one is absolutely going to be fun, and I do think we're probably looking at an under as that number has crashed now from 7.5. I am seeing some 7s right now showing up in the marketplace. T-Mobile Park in Seattle for the site of that one here. Also, don't forget we got a couple of interesting NBA games still to come here. Well, maybe at least one. And that's going to be tomorrow night with the Dallas Mavericks trying to close out the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know what they say, the hardest game to win is the closeout one. And when you have a guy like Kyrie Irving, who was 14-0 when his teams had an opportunity to close out a team in a series, well, make it 14-1 because him and Luka were not good last night. They'll have an opportunity to do it again tomorrow night in Minnesota, and Minnesota is building a little confidence off of that win. Can they get it back to Dallas for an all-important Game 3? Watching the market in this one, and there is an awful lot of love for the Minnesota Timberwolves here. This was 4. We saw it go to 4.5. Now seeing 5s. But the total, not moving. 209.5. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Looks like the public likes themselves some Minnesota Timberwolves here. We'll see. And they're giving them 4.5, 5 now. Will that line go up? There'll be a lot to keep an eye on here overnight. And, of course, we've got you covered here on the Sports Grid Network. And straight up, we've got Scotty Wetzel, Dave Sherapan, and the crew will take over with a little in-game live primetime. And you are going to have plenty of great primetime baseball. Not to mention 1, 2, 3 WNBA games underway. One more getting ready to start out west. So there's a little something for everyone tonight, including Game 4 in Edmonton between Dallas and the Oilers. So enjoy the games. Game Time Decision. We'll be back again tomorrow. Cash those tickets. We'll see you again soon.